Hey there, this is Whitney Wimhoff, and this was totally not planned, but I decided I would record a little vlog video about some of the stuff I just read in this Joyce Meyer Enjoying Everyday Life magazine because I just got home from an appointment and I decided I wanted to take a little devotional break and sit down and just read some good inspirational stuff, because when you work for yourself you can take little devotional breaks during the day if you want to. So I was just reading through this and I thought, you know what, I really love a lot of the things she was saying in here, and I just feel like my consultants could benefit a lot from some of these words, and just really anybody out there that needs a little bit of inspiration and pick me up today could benefit from this. So I just figured I would just kind of share some of my thoughts and some of Joyce Meyer's amazing words and hope that it blesses you. So one of the first things that she talks about, so this whole article in here is on just fear and the difference between like fear and obviously faith. And I've always believed that fear and faith cannot occupy the same space. They just can't. So if we are afraid of something or we are living in fear, then we aren't having faith in that moment, because those two things are like opposites. So a lot, this was really not planned out. So I'm going to kind of be all over the place because I'm going to read some of the stuff that I circled and highlighted in here, and then some just little notes that I had just written for myself. But I really believe that a lot of fear is just us not wanting to get out of our comfort zone, just wanting to stay comfortable. Whatever that means. Like there's so many different things that we can be afraid of, but we don't always think of it as fear. Sometimes we just don't want to be uncomfortable. We have this like desire to always stay comfortable. Like the goal in life is just to always remain comfortable. And I love how Mark Batterson puts it in his book, Chasing the Lion, that like a lot of us just want to arrive safely at death. Like that's our goal in life, is just to stay comfortable and arrive safely at death whenever that happens. And instead of really pressing ourselves to be out of our comfort zone and reach greater things and accomplish greater things. And so I've always learned too that like success is not convenient. Success is not found in our comfort zone, because when we stay in our comfort zone, no one's life changes. Our life certainly does not change. Like if nothing changes, nothing changes. So if we don't do anything to change our circumstance or the direction our life is going, then we're going to keep getting what we're currently getting. Like life is just going to stay the way that it is. And even if life is great, I really believe it can always still get better. Like we should always still be reaching for life to be better, to just always be reaching for a new level, growing in some way. I feel like we should just always be growing and improving just in life as women, as moms, as wives, as friends, as leaders, as business owners, everything. I feel like that we're never just arrive. I feel like we should always be at a place where we are reaching for new things and growing. Because when you're doing that, you're giving the people around you permission to do the same, to go after their dreams and their goals and to be growing as well, and challenging them to become the best versions of themselves. And so I really feel like when we stay in our comfort zone, that we aren't impacting our life. We're not impacting our children's lives. We're not impacting our spouses' lives. We're not impacting other people's lives. That it just serves, when we play small, it serves no one. And I really believe that. And I think that fear is really tied into that, of just wanting to stay in our comfort zone and be comfortable and just kind of skid through life and just, not have any problems and just kind of maintain. And I feel like a lot of times and it's a lot of people function that way, but it's easier to function that way because it's easier. We just don't want to be challenged. We don't want to be uncomfortable. We just want to just be and exist. And I really believe that's not what we were created for. We're not created to just exist. So I think a lot of the stuff that she was saying in this article really resonated with me for that reason. So one of the scriptures that I love, she put in here is just, fear not, there is nothing to fear, for I am with you. Yes, I will help you. Yes, I will hold you up and retain you with my victorious right hand of righteousness and justice. Isaiah 41:10. And then she talks about fear is actually means to take flight, to run from. And she says that I believe it's the number one weapon that Satan uses against us to keep us from pursuing our God-given destinies. And I feel like that's so true. I mean, that is really, he puts that in our path to deter us from what we really want to accomplish. I feel like we have, how many times have we had a goal that we're going after that just as soon as it starts to get uncomfortable or things just aren't going our way or circumstances rise up, that we just kind of shut down and we stop and we don't keep going after it because it's uncomfortable, because we got afraid of the unknown or, whatever stopped us from getting there. And that could be just a small goal that you had for the month. It could be a big one that you had. It could be a dream you had forever ago that you let go of. I just feel like that the enemy does use that as the biggest weapon against us to just stop us from really fulfilling our destiny and our calling and our purpose for our life. It's the other things she put, faith, live by faith every moment of every day. God has the power to do absolutely jaw-dropping, amazing things in our lives. He wants us to fulfill the purpose and plan he has for us. And we have the help of the Holy Spirit to do it, but we need to keep moving forward and trusting God to help us. And that was a big thing that my Offspring director, Kat, and I were actually just talking about earlier this morning, about how I just feel like sometimes when we are just in movement, like we are just going after our goal or the direction that we're feeling called in, we don't always have to get results in that specific activity that we're doing, that thing that we did that day or the appointments that we held, that we don't always have to get the results out of those appointments. I feel like it's just the effort of moving forward and going after something that he blesses us in a different area. Like just something comes out of nowhere that blesses you, your life, your family, your business, like things that just happen as a result of you being faithful and just going after the dream and what he's called you to do. And I love that. So just like he's there, he's going to help you, and trusting him in the process when you're moving forward. Some other scripture, I will fear or dread no evil, for you are with me. Psalms 23:4. The Lord is on my side. I will not fear what can man do to me. Psalms 118:6. The Lord is my helper. I will not be seized with alarm. I will not fear or dread or be terrified. Hebrews 13:6. And another little side note. So she said, like you see that dread is a forerunner of fear. It causes you to fear what's coming in the future. But if you don't dread, fear doesn't have an entrance. So if you can do anything, no matter what the condition is, the enemy no longer has a stronghold over you. I thought that was really profound, that if we don't have, no matter what our circumstances are, no matter what comes up against us, if we aren't dreading it, if we don't have that fear, like the enemy has no stronghold. He has no power over us, that he can't keep putting that fear in front of you. There was another example in here that they were giving of just this woman who had a fear of the water, and they went into a background of why she had fear of the water. She had lost some friends to drowning and things had happened, but once she started to let into that fear, the enemy caused that to kind of just stretch over her life, and suddenly she started becoming afraid of everything. So it wasn't just the water anymore. It was like everything. And I feel like that can happen with us in our businesses and our personal lives, that if we're just the smallest thing we can just let stop us and we start to become afraid of it, then that starts to just pile on. And that fear starts to grow, and it causes us to just get to the point where we let go of the dream or the calling altogether. And we don't always realize that that's what's happening, or that's the pattern, or that's what's going on, unless we really stop and kind of analyze it. Let's see. God is with me in this. I'm never alone until that truth becomes deeply rooted within you. And the more your faith builds, the more courageous you're going to be. God doesn't love you based on what you do. He loves you completely because he loves you completely because he loves you. It's not about our actions or what we do. And I think that even falls into the lines of what I was just talking about too, about sometimes it doesn't have to be the actual activity that you're doing, the results are coming from. It's just that you were being faithful in just your actions, that you were just going after what you believed he was calling you to do. And it's not that activity itself. It's just your belief and your faith. Let's see. But he is with you and you can remain peaceful and stable through every storm. That's what faith looks like. The best way to deal with the fears that come against you is to call on God for help and to exercise your faith. And so I just kind of wrote like faith is an exercise, like exercising your faith muscle. And that is something that we have to work on, just like when we're working out and we're trying to build strength. Faith isn't something that just naturally comes to everyone. You aren't just born and you have like huge muscles and you're super strong. You have to work at it. You have to grow in your flexibility and your strength and your fitness and your endurance. Like all those are things that you are working at on a consistent basis to gain, that you aren't just gifted with and have the ability of that strength and endurance just because you're gifted. And I feel like that's the same with our faith. That's something we have to practice and we have to build on a daily basis to get to a point where it's much easier for us to overcome that fear and just have that faith because we've practiced it. We have worked that faith muscle. Let's see. The fact is that you don't ever have to be afraid. You are free to push past your fears and pursue every dream that God has given you because he is with you. And while he is working out the details of your journey, you might as well enter his rest. And I love that because that was one thing that we talk about in our business all the time, is that not to worry about the how or where that's going to come from. If you're reaching a goal, and sometimes we look at that goal and we have this big, audacious, God-sized dream goal in front of us, and we're like, how in the world am I going to reach that? I've never even done half of that before. How am I going to do all of that? But because we are believing and just knowing that God has the ability to make that happen, then we know that he is working in the background on our behalf. He is working on the details. As long as we are in action and we are in movement and we are just having that belief and faith, then he is working out all the details for us. I wrote down, like, fear causes us to settle. It makes us tell ourselves stories of why it's better to stay comfortable. And, like what I was just saying before, like lives don't change when we stay in our comfort zone. And so I think that's such a powerful thing to realize, that that's fear that's causing us to feel that way. Fear of the, what if I don't reach that goal that I'm shooting for? It feels safer to just not go after it and never know than to go after it and not reach it in the timeline that you've set for yourself. So for me, it's not always like, I don't have the fear of I'm not going to get there. I have the fear of I'm not going to get there by the time I'm wanting to, or the timeline that I've set for myself. And that can cause us just to want to just tell ourselves stories and make up reasons for why, it'd just be easier if I just did this, or if I just played at this level, and that I'm like, my family's taken care of and I've got great income and I love what I'm doing and everything, it's totally fine where it's at. It, always can be better and greater, and I can reach those other goals. But if I just stayed here, like it's a lot more comfortable because I'm already here. I'm already done it. Like I could just maintain. And what I've realized is that those are fear thoughts. I'm just wanting to stay in my comfort zone instead of stretching myself to grow. And if I just maintain, I'm not impacting anyone else. I'm not impacting my life anymore. I'm not impacting my son or my husband's life anymore. And I'm certainly not impacting more women in my professional life. And so I realized that the fear causes us to just want to settle and maintain and be comfortable. When we step out and do our part, God will definitely do his part. I loved that. that faith process isn't going to occur overnight. It's a process, stepping out in faith. So that's that, building that faith muscle. And the other notes were just about the girl and the water story of when she had given into that fear, every other fear gained strength over her as well. And then one of the things she wrote, like, use what's in your hand. And she was referring to just, praying that we have God there in our pocket, ready to use on speed dial whenever we need him. And sometimes it's easy just to forget that and come to him when you don't know what else to do instead of coming to him first. And I thought that was such a good revelation, because how many times do we do that where we just feel like I'm just going to do everything I can, and then we use him as like our last resort instead of coming to him first and using him as our only resort and knowing that he's got everything in place for us. So those were some of my just thoughts that I had as I'm reading through this article on my little devotional break today. So I hope that this blesses you in some way in your personal life or your professional life. And I hope you are just having an amazing day. And I hope you have a great new year. Love you guys.